What's up, YouTubers and plant lovers? It's Justin, and today I was going to show you how to repot and care for my Cleistocactus straussii. Now, it's got several different common names. You may have heard it called the Silver Torch Cactus, the Snow Pole Cactus, or the Woolly Torch Cactus. But whatever you call it, it is known as the Cleistocactus straussii, and it's the Silver Torch Cactus. And as you can see, mine's got several different arms. It is a columnar cactus. It'll have about 25 shortly kind of narrow spines and about 30 to 40 different patches of the small, white, kind of fluffy looking spines, and about 4, maybe 5 of the kind of pale yellow looking spines that stick out longer than the fuzzy spines. Alas, it does look like you could go up to it and kind of grab it. It may not hurt too bad or give it a nice big hug, but be warned, it does have these sharper cacti spines that stick out that will bite and get a hold of you, and you will know it. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and repot him. I went ahead and took him out of his other pot and got most of the dirt off. But right now I'm going to go ahead and prepare his new container for his new home and get him going. Alright, now all that's left to do is to just make sure that I've compacted and tamped the soil down as best I can. Now, you can either use gloves in your hands, but if you do that, be careful because they can still get stuck in the glove and poke your fingers and hurt you. Your best bet would be to use something plastic. I've got one of these tamping tools that help me get around the base of the cactus and also help me get in there and get any dirt or debris off the fuzz. Or you can take a spoon or a butter knife or a fork, the end of a fork, the smooth end, not the one with the tines or the tongs, and just kind of get around the base of the plant and press down just a little bit just to kind of make sure the soil is compacted. You want to be sure that your cactus is going to be supported and be able to stand upright and not kind of fall over. And then you also want to make sure that you're not going to leave any other air bubbles down in the soil. So tamping will help correct that. And just be very careful that you don't actually poke yourself, because if you use your fingers, you may poke yourself. And push straight down around the base of the cactus. Don't kind of push down and in, or you'll get a hold of one of those spikes. Now the fuzzy ones don't hurt too bad, but those pale yellow ones will poke you and break off and hurt. Consequently, if you, ow, I just poked myself. If you do poke yourself, kind of like I just did, and you actually get some spines that break off in your skin, you can use tape or a band-aid, like duct tape, Packer's tape, and it will actually pull those spines right out of your finger. They will remove themselves rather quickly and easily. Alright, now I think he's in there pretty well. The only other thing I can do to ensure that he remains in there well and is supported would be to water him. And watering, you want to actually go around the entire circumference of the top of the pot to make sure that you're going to remove any air bubbles that may be anywhere down in that root mass. Now, I have one of these little squeeze balls that'll also help get the dirt and kind of blow it off the spines here. And that'll help remove any kind of styrofoam that kind of stuck down in there to support those arms while he's not in soil. I think the last time I counted he had 7 arms. 1, 2, 3 big ones up top, 2 big ones right there, makes 5, a little small piece right down here, and then a small bump back here on the back right there. Yeah, right here. So that is 7 arms. And as you can tell, it was definitely a 2-person job. So if you have a cactus of this size, make sure you have help. Because I work out quite a bit and I still wasn't able to do this entirely by myself. Some of that perlite is sticking around the base too, where the soil is. Alright, now in talking about care for this plant, I just want to tell you that caring for your plant may be a little bit different than caring for mine because of the environment that I am in. In Kentucky, we get a lot of rain, we get a lot of humidity, we have a lot of hard water, so a little bit of the care might be just a little bit different than what you are, but for the most part, it will stay about the same and be pretty basic. With this guy, he loves direct sunlight. He is a cactus. They are from the mountains of Argentina and Bolivia, and they do get a lot of sunlight. So they do like a lot of sunlight. I would say anywhere from about 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight a day. Now, if you're closer to the equator and you're in an environment that does get excessively hot during the later part of the day, you may want to provide them with a little bit of shade so that they don't get entirely too hot. They don't like to be really, really hot. I'd say anywhere around 85, 90, 95 is kind of pushing it. And they do kind of wilt a little bit and look kind of sad. So if you are in an environment that does get a lot of excessive heat, make sure that you do kind of give them a little bit of shade if you can. And then water. I always water mine when about the top 1 to 2 inches of the soil is dry. They do like a little bit more water than their other cactus cousins, like the blue barrel cactus that I did last week. I do water him just a little bit more. Now, in the wintertime with the blue barrel cactus, you don't want to give it any water whatsoever. With this guy, you want to give him some water in the wintertime, though not as much. You want to give him about water every 4 to 5 weeks. You want just enough to kind of keep him alive to make sure he's doing okay. But if you give him too much during the wintertime, he will rot excessively easy. And these columnar cactuses are a little bit prone to root rot, so you don't want a bunch of water hanging out in there all day. Make sure he does have adequate drainage holes. This pot has one large drainage hole in the middle that doesn't really hold on to any water, and it's terracotta too. I know you may be thinking that's a lot of additional weight with all that soil in that large cactus, and you're right, but it is a little bit windy in Louisville or in northern Kentucky, and so these will topple over, but with the terracotta it will kind of give it more weight to kind of fix its center of gravity, and you won't really have to worry about too much being able to dump that over. Now, on the other hand, you're not able to move it as easily, but they do look really good in a terracotta pot. Any of my cacti that I'm able to, I like to put into a terracotta pot just for the looks, the aesthetics of it, the added weight, and because they are porous. So they will help wick water away from the roots and won't let them kind of rot if they are from an area like northern Kentucky that gets a lot of rain. So much so it almost seems like we could beat Seattle. But these guys, If they're not in a pot like that, if they're in a plastic pot, they can succumb to root rot rather quickly. And like I said, in northern Kentucky, we do get our fair share of rain, so you need to protect them from all that rain if you're able to. Now, I don't give him any water unless it's unseasonably dry. You know, if it's not raining in about 2 or 3 weeks, I'll go ahead and stick my finger down to like the second knuckle. If I don't feel any moisture at all, I'll go ahead and give them a little bit of water and kind of spray them off some. Now, sadly, they don't get flowers on there unless they're about 10 to 15 years old. So they need to be kind of fully mature before they start to develop these flowers. Now, an interesting fact, the name Cleisto is Greek from the word kleistos, which means closed. And that's in reference to the flowers that kind of come out. They stick out about 3 inches. And they come out horizontally, and they're kind of a burgundy, pinkish kind of color, but they stick out and they come out when they've been fully mature, anywhere about 10 to 15 years old, and they are produced by, or fertilized by hummingbirds. Now, these cacti make great potted plant pals because they are non-toxic. Now, mind the thorns, because if you do poke yourself, it may irritate your skin some. I kind of poked my hand earlier, and there's some red kind of yellow histamine bumps on there. So it will make you itch a little bit and look like it's going to break out, but it's non-toxic. It won't hurt you at all. So if you've got anybody that you worry about the toxicity with the plant, this is great. Though if you do have little ones, I wouldn't suggest getting one of these unless you have a greenhouse that you can set this out in or keep it away, because if they do kind of fall on it, that will hurt. But do know that they are non-toxic. Now, as I said earlier, the soil needs to be rather quick draining, so it needs to have at least 50% horticultural grade sand in it to make sure it doesn't hold on to any water whatsoever. And when you fertilize, if you fertilize, I only fertilize this big boy once a year. Around springtime, when the danger of frost has passed, I will go ahead and set him outside so he'll get more sunlight. When you do fertilize, you need to make sure if you do, you only give it something that isn't very high in nitrogen. These guys do not like a lot of nitrogen in their diet, so fertilize it with something that doesn't have a lot of nitrogen content in it. And make sure the danger of frost has passed. Like I said earlier, they don't like excessive heat, but they can tolerate a little bit of cold, just a little bit. Maybe 1 or 2 days of light frost will be okay for this guy, but after that, damage will occur. So make sure you don't forget it when autumn rolls in, because as it starts to get cold, you will do damage to your plant. Now, they don't have too much in the way of rot or fungi or disease or pests. You do have to be on the lookout for spider mites and mealybugs, as with most other cacti. And then any kind of disease, they do succumb to root rot fairly quickly. So make sure that it isn't going to be watered too much and that the feet do not stay wet. Well, guys, that's really all I wanted to say about this cactus. Like I said, I've had this guy for quite a while, and I wanted to go ahead and repot him, and I think in his new home he's doing okay. The only other thing I need to do is give him a little bit of water, and then I think he'll be fine for the rest of the year. Now, once you're able to, just leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite kind of cactus is. I do like the columnar cactus. They are really cool. The barrels are pretty cool too. While you're at it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button or the bell next to it. That way you'll know anytime that I've uploaded a new video. You guys take it easy, have a good one, and don't forget, always plant prudently. Thank you, YouTube.